Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this Macro 4 webinar. My name's Phil Oldfield, and I'm a Client Services Consultant at Macro 4. Now, just so you know, today we are recording this webinar.
Hi, I'm Sam Dix. I'm also a Client Services Consultant at Macro 4. And for those of you that are new to Macro 4, we've been going since 1968 and are part of the Unicom Global group of companies. Macro 4 develop and support enterprise information management solutions based upon our Columbus technology. And we also provide mainframe and mid-range systems management solutions.
Right, before we move on, we have muted the lines today, but if you have any questions, please use the chat items function. And this is the speech bubble icon within the on-screen menu at the bottom of the screen. It should be the second icon from the right, or at least it is on my WebEx. We will endeavour to answer any questions you may have at the end of the webinar.
Great, thanks, Phil.
Today we'll be talking about how Columbus can help to simplify your HR processes. We'll discuss how accessing your HR documents from a single point improves efficiency, also showing how role-based security brings you a level of control to the information. We'll demonstrate the employee access via a self-service portal before finishing with regulatory compliance.
Okay, let's start looking at where the problem is at the moment, and then we'll talk further on this. And like a number of HR departments, your HR department themselves may have documents stored in different locations, filing cabinets for historical paper documents and file servers for documents created in applications with the results such as letters, spreadsheets, contract offers, that side of things. You may also have letters stored in HR applications, be they on-premise or in the cloud. And then if you add in payroll documents, and your HR staff have got to access these different locations to view the required documents. If you then bring in the results of the COVID-19 pandemic, and accessing those physical documents or even different locations can be a problem when working at home, as most of us seem to be doing now. By storing these documents within Columbus, no matter their source, where they come from, all your HR staff have got one location to be able to access the staff documents. And this improves efficiency, and by being able to access the individual documents in indexed as they are in different ways, the documents are very easy to find. And let's not forget about your employees, your colleagues, who can be given access to their relevant documents via our self-service portal. And we'll see this within the demonstration.
For organisations who have multiple locations, with both local and centralised HR staff, Columbus gives access to both local and central HR colleagues. Your employees from these different locations can then access their documents as required, no matter which location they work in. And finally, for regulatory compliance, Columbus enables subject access requests from staff, and that's both current and those that have left, who want to know what documents are stored against their name, but also to delete documents from a single point in the case of deletion requests or when documents have reached their differing retention limits. Okay, so we're going to run through a demonstration of our Columbus solution for HR departments for you now.
Thanks, Phil. We're going to have a few personas here. I'm going to be talking about two different roles within the HR department, a HR manager and a HR user. And then we're also going to have an employee of the business.
And that will be me. So over to you, Sam.
Great. So hopefully, if I come round to here, you can see my screen still, Phil?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Lovely. Thanks. So I'm going to first of all log on as a user called Madeline Paul. Madeline is our HR manager and has full access within the system. She's the highest level of user within the system. So here we're showing Columbus DW. We're going to log on. After log on, we're going to select all documents, and we can then see the documents that Madeline has access to. And from this particular point, we can search and view the documents at an employee level. So in this particular case, I'm going to choose Alia Grant, a colleague here. And from this view, as mentioned, I can see all of the documents that Alia has, or we're storing for Alia, be they from scanned documents from HR system, or in the case here of the payroll department, P60s and payslips themselves. And it's very easy to then further subset. So for example, if I want to look at any documents produced in 2020, I can do that for Alia. I can also further then say, let's have a look for documents from April 2020, again for Alia herself. So very quickly, we're able to view the documents from a single employee's point of view. But the other way of looking at this is that I can look at this from a document-centric point of view. So I can go to, for example, the joiner information. So here I can see all of the offer letters that have gone out. I can look at, for example, offer letters that the company sent out in 2019. And there's a number of people recruited there in December 2019. But the point being is that we can see all of those letters together. I could go into the payroll information and have a look at everybody's payroll documents from here. I could go into, for example, the disciplinary and grievances documents. So as well as being able to view from an employee point of view, we can also see this from a document point of view. And let's face it, with a filing cabinet or even a file server, you wouldn't be able to have that single view of the same type of document. So very quickly, once you've got documents within Columbus, you're able to have a look at this sort of information. And a further point here, if we just have a look at this, at the branch available here, we have a number of staff from our Coventry location. We've also got HR documents in here as well, or HR staff documents. Here we have my colleague Kareem Herman. He's a HR user, I mentioned him, and we've also got some documents from Madeline herself that are available. And because I'm logged in as Madeline, I can see that top level view. But for now, let's take this further forward. I'm going to just resume looking at Alia's documents. I can have a look at different items. So here there's absence information that's going to be pulled back, absence and lateness record sheet. I can have a look at Alia's offer letter that's pulled back and view these documents as required. I can extract them, I can print them, that side of things, as you'd expect. So let's now have a look at this from the employee side of things. Phil, over to you.
Yeah, so we're going to log on to the employee portal, and I'm going to take on the persona of Alia Grant, who's an employee of the company. So first we're going to log into the portal, and just to iterate here, it's a fully functioning portal, and you can see that by the links you have on the right hand side of the document portal, providing access to other applications. There's also a specific link at the bottom there on the right hand side to contact the HR department, and we'll use that a little bit further in the demonstration. So as you can see in the main sort of screen area here, we've got Alia has got access to look at her payslip documents, and we can pull back one of those to actually have a look at the document itself, which we do right there. So that's one of Alia's payslips, but she's also got access to other documents as well. She's got P60 she can have a look at. And there's also, as you can see on the left-hand side tree here, one for contract documents, but there's nothing available at the moment for Alia. So say, for example, that Alia now wants to view her offer letter, which she was sent when she joined the company. So how does she get access to that? Well, currently it's not available to her, but if she clicks on the Contact HR link, that will bring up an email that you can send to the HR department requesting access to that document. And I think, Sam, you're going to kind of continue the story from there.
Yeah, that's right, Phil. So from Alia's point of view, she sends the email through. The HR department receive this. They don't have to have a phone call or a visit necessarily. And again, that's important within these restricted times we find ourselves working in. So Alia's dropped the email through. Look, I'm applying for a loan. I need to prove that my employment started at a certain point. Can I have access to my offer letter? And in this particular case, yes, I've pre-populated the search with Alia. I go and find the offer letter. If it's not immediately obvious on the screen, there's the offer letter with a particular document code in there. It's currently hidden from the portal. We've got a view status here. So I'm going to just change the workflow to say that the offer letter is there. Drop an email back. Alia, your document's now available. You should be able to see that.
So we're back in the employee portal now, and just want to refresh this, and you'll see if we click on the contract documents link there, the the joiner letter has become available for Alia, and there you go. You can see we can retrieve that there, and she can view a copy of her own offer letter. So it all works kind of combined with the back end to allow Alia access to her document.
Great, thanks, Phil. So let's talk about another couple of areas, one of which was security, and that's very important from the HR side of things. As mentioned, this particular screen here is signed in as Madeline Paul, who's a HR manager, and Madeline has unrestricted access through the system. She can see staff's documents no matter whereabouts they are. So let's now log in as her colleague Kareem. Go, talking and typing at the same time. And if once I've logged in as Kareem is a HR user, so slightly less rights, but the role that the Kareem's allowed is that they can see anybody's documents apart from HR. So in this particular case, we can now see within the branch column that all I've got is Coventry. I have no HR colleagues listed. So if I just do that search on there, no HR documents. So just giving you an example of the role-based security that's possible within the rules of the groups of people, and that could be extended, for example, to senior executives, so that the normal HR users cannot see their documents. And note, though, that Kareem is able to carry out the hiding and showing documents within the portal. That's within their security rights. So that's talking about security. That's very important. Another area to talk about is deletions and regulatory compliance. So Columbus can take a feed of, say, from your HR system, a flat file feed, XML feed, that side of things, to basically get the list of levers, and Columbus can then put that lever information against the documents, and when the documents reach their retention requirements, for example, payroll needs to be kept longer maybe than other documents, then when the documents reach their retention period, they'll be deleted. However, it may be that you need to remove somebody's documents straight away. In this example, we have our colleague Raymond Prince, who's left the company, sent in a subject access request to say, can I have a look at what documents you've got for me? And they can be extracted in bulk and made available, either sent via email or a link to the employee portal, a temporary link enabled. And then Raymond has sent back to say, look, I've got those documents now. These particular documents are past their retention period. So I'd like you to remove them, and then HR staff have the ability, if so authorized, to delete the documents, which I've just done there. And there we go, Raymond's documents have been removed from the system. So as well as an automated process, there is a manual process, if so required, to remove the documents to meet those data minimization and data deletion requirements in line with regulatory compliance. So let's carry on where we left off with the presentation. I think we've had whilst we've been talking, Phil, there's been some questions come in. Do you want to start that off?
Yeah, so yeah, thanks, Sam. We're going to open the floor now for questions. And as I mentioned before, you can use the chat functions or Q&A to send these questions in. As we have been talking, I can see that we've already got a couple of questions that have come in. So I'll dive into these now. So first one up is from Mark. Mark says, let me just read this. How can we recognize and categorize documents that have been scanned or imported from file servers? Sam, I think you've recently been speaking to a customer about this sort of thing. Is this one that you're happy to sort of take over?
Yeah, thanks, Phil, and thanks, Mark, for the question. And folks, please do drop in via the text or the Q&A item any questions you do have. Mark, thanks for the question. I can see your name there. I can see that you're already a user of Columbus itself, and so you do know that we can recognize and index certain information document feeds, for example, like the print streams that you send through an archive. However, as the case of scanned documents, as you mentioned there, the scanned documents or those for an unstructured file store, then we wouldn't necessarily recommend, we wouldn't recognize them, please forgive me there. But Columbus can be extended to include document automation to provide intelligent recognition and categorization, and we can link into machine learning technology and artificial intelligence technology to have Columbus recognize and categorize these documents to push them then into Columbus in the manner that they need to be. I'll catch up with you later on to discuss that further, but thanks for the question. Phil mentioned there was a second question. Steve, thanks for your question. So what does Steve say? I think, Phil, you're going to be answering this one. You're right about having some file servers and certainly filing cabinets. That's good to know we're on point there, Steve. But our HR application provides storage for documents and it's in the cloud. Why would Columbus help here? A good and difficult question there, Steve. Thanks for asking it. Phil, definitely passing that one on to you.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Yeah, it's a good point, Steve. So what I'd say is for cloud-based HR applications, or I suppose it doesn't matter. So even those on premise, you're going to eventually reach a storage limit that's going to require more license fees or costs. So by storing the documents within Columbus and linking that to the HR application via web services or Web Express, for example, you can add this logical storage layer to the HR application, which sort of brings the easy access that we talked about earlier. Also, Columbus can run in the cloud or as a hybrid option with cloud object storage. So I hope that sort of clarifies a little bit for you.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Phil, and thanks, Steve, for the question. And just to remark there, cloud object storage is available in 8.5 of Columbus, so that's available now. Michael, thanks for your question. How are you coping with different legal regulations regarding the retention time of documents? Is there an automatic process to exclude the documents from deletion when there are certain events, for example, a lawsuit, so legal hold, I guess we call that, for example. Another great question there. Thanks, Michael. Quite simply, yes. The metadata, or what we call indexes that are held against the documents, they can be then met with business rules. And I talked briefly about that earlier. So, for example, payroll documents need to be kept longer than, for example, some of your absence letters, and your furlough letter, again, maybe need to be kept because that affects your pay. And so, as mentioned, we can take a feed to say that documents of this particular type or all documents set a leaving date, and then the automation can work on the different document types themselves and delete as required. 7 years for, say, certain document types, the life of the employee for the payroll documents, because that relates to pension. But as you quite rightly state, if there is a legal requirement to keep these documents free, for example, if something's been contested, then what you can do further as part of the workflow is mark the employee as having a legal hold, and therefore that's a stopper against all the deletion for that particular employee. Even if they've met their retention policy or retention requirements, then the documents won't be deleted because they're legal hold. And hopefully that's answered your question, Michael. Thank you. Anybody else got any questions? In that case, I think we'll move on, Phil.
Okay, great. Okay, so in summary, we've shown you how storing your HR documents within Columbus gives a single point of access and brings in role-based security and gives your employees self-service access to the documents they're allowed to see. And lastly, it's easy to apply retention rules or delete documents in the case of subject access requests and regulatory compliance. Your client services consultant, that's Sam or myself, will contact you shortly to get your views on the webinar, how it relates to your business, and most importantly, how we can help.
Great, thank you, Phil. And most importantly, thank you all of you for joining us. We've enjoyed presenting this. Thanks for your time today, to where we looked at how Columbus can help you simplify your HR process. Thanks again.
Thank you.